Here's a place where all of us can be safe. Our stories of transformation can be safe, and all the things we want to research are safe here. This is Safe Space with Cheyenne. I'm really excited you're here, and I hope you stick around for a while, because I've got a lot to show you before I leave Earth. I love you guys. Welcome back in, my beautiful friends. Today I have Jo Davis, the badass psychic intuitive, but also the founder of Lift a Sister Up. She has my favorite tagline I've ever read. It's called From Hot Mess to Hell Yes. She has a list of things that she can help you with, from soul conversations, one-on-one coaching. I've seen Reiki attunements in there, healing arts, and something called Unfunk Yourself, which we're about to get into a workbook later on. But right now, I want to bring her into the show so you can all meet this lovely, lovely human being that I have been introduced to.
Hello. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm very excited you're finally here. I want to shout out Jordana for getting us connected. What a lovely
Love
spirit
her.
she is. So usually I start this off with a bunch of random questions, but we've been talking for like 30 minutes, and I feel like we basically have done a podcast just catching up with each other anyways. So when did you know that you had psychic gifts? Did you have weird paranormal experiences happen when you were a child? Let me in on how you became a badass psychic intuitive.
It's super funny that you asked this question, because I just hung out with my best friend of like 35 years or something last week, and she had said something in conversation. Someone else was around, and she was like, "Oh, Joe's always had like stuff," and I'm like, we'd never talked about it before, and I was like, "Huh, that's interesting." I kind of always did feel like I was in a fishbowl looking out, or vice versa. And I can remember laying in my backyard as a kid in a sleeping bag and out in the country and looking up at the stars. I was like 10 or 12 and thinking, can you just come back and pick me up? Because there's certainly been a mistake in the paperwork, because these people here are crazy and I'm not like them. And that was a real driving force for me, in my 40s, after losing a corporate job. And then like everything I tried to do that looked like what everybody else did just didn't work. I mean, I was a minority as an avid skydiver. I was a minority as it didn't look like anybody else. And that forcing yourself to get in line has never worked for me. It's actually made me physically ill. And so, I always say there's a sign. That's a sign when it feels really hard or forced or not magical, not effortless. Like there's a sign like, yeah, we need to grow and learn. But what am I resisting? Is it my ego that doesn't want to let go of this identity because I'm afraid I won't be accepted over here? Or is it, there's a difference between having a dream that's so big it's hard and you know it's your calling, it's your sacred contract, versus I want to just be accepted or fit in. I mean, there's a big difference there, the why behind it and the intention. So yeah, growing up, I just had a lot of weird stuff happen. I had a lot of people that I would look at, and other people like thought they were great, and they just crawled up my spine. And then years later, they're in prison for something awful. Or, those patterns of intuition. We talked about this earlier, where you're the kid in the room yelling, the emperor's not wearing any clothes. Like something's off, and y'all think this person's like the second coming, and I'm like throwing up in my mouth a little. So yeah, right. Like I just, that was kind of me, and it wasn't congruent. And so I literally felt like part of me was like ripped in two, where I was like, okay, this is what we're doing. This is, we graduate high school, we go to college, we do this, everyone is a part of some real organized religion. We do that. We have corporate jobs, all the things. And I think the tipping point for me, Cheyenne, was in my corporate job. I was the managing director, but I was also a dual role. So I was also an image consultant. And so I would sit in rooms with couples and consulting them on, whatever we were selling. And I'm sitting there and I would know he drags her around the house by her hair, or she's cheating on him, or, you know, it was just, I knew things that were just like specific and impossible for me to know. And I was in a sales role. So I could use that and people were just like putty in my hands, but it felt incongruent with integrity. And I used to go home and I feel like I'm cheating. Or like someone would want what we were selling really bad, but I knew they couldn't afford it. But they would go rob a bank to get what we were selling. And I would talk them out of buying it because I was like, I knew these are the 15 I knew they were sick. They were going to need that money later because they were really sick and didn't know it. I knew, like, so it was madness. And I started having chest pain every day at work. For 2 months straight, I was having chest pain. I was, putting out feelers for another job, but eventually they asked me to leave. They were like, something's going on with you and this isn't a good fit anymore. And they didn't say all that, but they were basically like, we're taking the office in a new direction. Like and I was clearly going in another direction. But it was just, I was struggling functioning as a human being in my inauthentic role. And I
We
guess
have
that's the
so many
long
similarities
version.
with getting
Yep.
out of those roles that we didn't want to be in and like doing things that we didn't want to do. And I will say that I've had the same experiences where like darker things that you're really not supposed to know and you don't know how you know it and it freaks you out. And then it does come out later and you're like, I knew it the whole time. I knew it. But on the lighter side of that,
Please.
the opposite side of the spectrum, I can also like see, like when you get into relationships, you see people who are together and you're like, oh, I can see your contract. You guys really are meant to be together. Even if they go through like rough patches, which everybody does. I'm like, they're actually supposed to be together. And then there's other people, I'm like, this is so much karma wrapped up in two people. Like, yes, you should eventually get away from each other. Yes, there's a reason that you guys came together. But please, for the love of God, like, don't stay together for the kids because you're just going to push it off on them. And
Yeah, generational. Yep.
I've seen people where, like, I met one of my favorite ones was I met a girl in Florida and I lived like 5 states away. And the more that I got to talk to her, I kept seeing a picture of a girl that I knew as like her perfect soulmate. And I was like, this is so weird because I am not any type of definition of intuitive in my mind at this time. I can just have a conversation with you and the teleprompter lights up, like don't don't shoot the messenger. And so we hung out for a few days on a business trip and I was like, that is so crazy. I could have sworn like I met this girl's soulmate, but she's in a relationship with somebody like 5 states away. This doesn't make any sense. And it's just like the boomerang, it just comes back. I'm like, man, maybe in a different life for them. And then 3 weeks later, I get a phone call that girl that I was working with in Florida was actually coming to help out at my store. And I was like, now I understand what's happening. So, like, I saw the whole breakup in my head between the other two. I saw them like pinging across the room with their eye contact and like the energy lit up and everything. And I mean, goodness knows if they're actually together. I don't really know. This was years ago, but that's one of the moments that I think about now. Like, that's the brighter side of having that. You can see the sludgy layers of people's stuff that they don't want you to know. Like, you get to see soulmates and like when you're actually in the presence of like true love and a true contract that's being fulfilled properly. Like, that's why I like having the gifts that I have, is you get to see that. And when people are going through a rough patch, they're like, "Oh, I don't know if I can do it." I'm like, trust me, they're your person. I would literally tell you if you needed to get out and it was going to get worse and it was going to spiral down, but this is just a little bump in the road and you guys are going to be back at it. And sure enough, they are. So that's probably what I would say the
Mhm.
brighter side is. As far as
Yeah.
the like chest pains that you're having and like putting feelers out and knowing that you need to leave the job, like you are literally speaking my story to me too, which I'm sure I've told several times on the others, so I'm not going to go super deep into it. But what I remember is being like, yeah, I really need to get out and I really don't know how to get out. and there were so many things going on with my life, but I always know that if I don't make the decision, that the rug will just be like pulled out from under me anyways, and I'll have to go make that decision. Like, you know, the source of all creation, whatever you want to call it, comes in and it's just like, yeah, you've had enough time. So now you really do have to go figure it out. So I don't necessarily like feel embarrassed or bad when I say like, oh, I was let go from a company that I worked for so long, because I'm like, you do realize I've been trying to get out for 5 years. Like, they made it easier for me, and now I don't have to do their jobs, is kind of what I think about it. Like, I'm released, I'm free. Like, I remember walking out of the building and just, oh my god, I never have to do this again. What an absolute relief. I never have to see you again. I'm going to block your number right now because I really don't think you're a good person, and I don't need you calling me after you realize everything I did do for you while I was there. So, wow. And also, like, I can speak on this now because I'm definitely healed on it, but I was really not a good person compared to who I was now. Like, I thought I was a good person. I thought I was doing good things. I thought I was helping people. And I know there's a big part of that company that I love to help people, but it turned me just like so cold and so bitter and so pessimistic that I would just be like hopping into who I wanted to be and being dragged back down into who I had to be to play the role. Did you feel like you definitely had to do that? And maybe that's why the
So
conflicting.
incongruent. So incongruent. Like, you have these things rooted in your wiring from a kid, which is, I grew up in a really religious home, and it was all about being good. And, if Jesus wasn't watching, Santa was watching, and it sort of rotated, 3 months out of the year. And like, like it was always like, I have to have a thing to be a person with integrity. Like I have to feel like like you're trained to, God is always watching, and what would Jesus do? And like you're trained to behave a certain way based on the world looking and the end result versus be love, be integrity, be a hot mess, be gritty, be raw, be authentic, be you. And so we're groomed to be manageable and helpful. And I mean, it's just so twisted. And then one day you wake up and you're like, who the hell am I? My world's falling apart. And then you have to unbecome all that stuff, that unraveling. And yeah, so it just, when I lost everything, I was like, the story behind the corporate job, which is super weird, is it wasn't just that I was like booted. It's extra weird. Like I have an extra weird life. I'm not extra special necessarily, but I got an extra weird life. Some extra magic sauce on my nachos. But literally I was taking pictures. I didn't know how the buttons worked on my camera, but I knew how to edit some stuff. I never learned how to work a camera, auto everything. And so I had a picture on my wall. And when I was still working my corporate job, the president of the company came because it was like our third build out because we were doing really well. And he was captivated and just obsessed with this picture on my wall. And we were getting ready to open the office. And I said, hey, look, I will send you a picture of that, a copy of that. I'll have it to your office next week if we can just keep this tour going because we have to open our doors in like 20 minutes. And he's like, okay. And we were getting ready to do another build out. And he said, what did he say to me? I don't remember what he said to me. I guess I just came out, this literal voice came out of me, maybe unprovoked. I don't remember, but it literally, when you say something and you're like, who said that? Exactly. Freaky shit. I said, you should let me do all the art in the center, in the new center. It's got to be better than the shit on the walls that we have now. I barely knew him, never cursed in front of him. And this voice comes out of me. I don't even know what I'm offering. And he says, put a bid in. So I started filling the offices with art. They have 100 offices. So when they let me go repeatedly, no less than 5 times, the guy that was letting me go said, just so you know, we'll call him Bob. Bob said, don't worry, they want you to fill the art, all the offices with art. So it was literally like you're going to be busy. You're going to be okay. He wants you to know you're going to be okay. So it switched from please leave to we've created a new career for you. So you can play there for a while. Like the whole thing was weird. And but it was still scary because I still only had so much money in the bank, and I still was like, okay, this is my life and who I've been, and now I'm going to be this other person, and I still didn't really know who I was. So yeah, it was all very crazy, but it was like the universe, there's like a little handoff. Okay, now you're going to learn about this. We're going to ease you into who you really are because you're having chest pain every day and you know stuff and you feel like an alien from another planet, but we're going to kind of pass you off into this next little kind of career, this little adventure, and then we're going to get you close. Like, super bizarre. I totally forgotten about that story till just now, but so yeah, I hope that answers your question, but it really, it's a whole process. And then I ended up with adrenal fatigue. You know, you talk about not listening to your body. I pulled out a third life insurance policy because I thought I was dying. My adrenals were dead. I'm like, boy, you don't listen, you will get the smackdown. So yeah, it sounds like you went through something similar.
Yeah, have you seen the videos coming out where people are like, why is it when you start healing and feeling safe that your body starts showing all of these symptoms and you start getting really sick? And you've lived in survival mode for so long, you're just trying to keep up and you're keeping all that stuff in. So finally, like when your brain feels safe and your nervous system switches over, then it goes, "Oh, okay, now we can unpack all this shit that you've been shoving in us for so long." And that's when you start getting maybe like diagnoses really can be temporary. I know people treat them all like they're terminal and I'm stuck with it the rest of my life, but your body is just signaling where you've shoved poison for so long. I'm just a big believer of that because I've lived it. So I'm probably
The bill arrives. The bill
yeah,
arrives.
the
Here's the
bill
bill.
arrives and you're like, "Oh God, now I really
Mhm.
have to invest in myself in a way that I haven't been doing." And I mean, I was the queen of going out and just like coming home and resuscitating myself really quick and then just getting back out there. And if my battery had 20%, I'd probably still give 80. And then people wondered why I was such a bitch. Like, what do you mean? I'm barely hanging on. So
Yeah.
that I love that that story came up as an intuitive and any intuitive that I have on the show, they'll just have like stories that surface like that. And I think those ones are the raw and the ones that we need because there's so many people that are living in that state of survival, but also like leaving a job, being asked to leave a job, however you want to see it, it's still going to be like crushing to your ego. It's going to be embarrassing. You lived under that label for so long that like that's what you go to when you meet people. You're like, "Oh," they're like, "What do you do with your life?" And you're like, "I'm blah 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 blah." And then you can see it in their eyes if they're impressed, if they know somebody, or they're just like, "Mm, that's what you're doing." You can definitely see
Mhm.
it. So like we all thrive on those like corporate labels or LinkedIn jobs is kind of what I think about them. So when that mask goes away and they're like, "What are you doing?" and you're like, "Oh, well, I'm work I don't know who I am. I'm working to find myself. I'm trying to get my health in order." And then bringing up the money thing is so real too, because I think there's such like a farce in anything in spirituality where it's just like, if you only have $2 in your bank account, it's okay. Take the leap of faith. Your rent will be paid. And it's like, no, you could be homeless. Don't be freaking weird about it. You're going to have some sort of a plan plus belief in faith. But I love that you brought that up because I mean, I was the same way. I was getting ready to get married and I had to come home and tell my fiance, like, "Yep, that door's closed." And I remember like closing the bathroom door and getting in the shower after I told him, and I could just see like his whole face. Because again, I think that's like the worst thing in our life at that time that could happen to someone was that you were like let go from a career that you've been in for so long. But I knew everything was gonna be fine. I didn't know how it was gonna be fine, but I also like, I was getting ready to go to my bachelorette party. I was getting ready to do bridal showers. I was getting ready to do wedding and a honeymoon. Like, I had 6 to 8 weeks full of, "Hey, let's go celebrate with people that you love and remember who you are. And then we'll figure out what we're going to do after that." So all of those celebrations definitely helped, which is why everyone's story is different. But after all of that celebration and I had to come home and like sit with everything, I'm like, I have no clue who I am. Oh my gosh, I've literally like this company has literally been my identity for like 10 years. And before that, I was even a hotter mess. Like, I'm lucky to be alive hot mess before I got in with this company. So, like, who am I? And I didn't rush out to get a job immediately. I didn't go try to go get something in the same role to like fill that salary gap and the benefits and the 401k. I was like, I'm just going to dedicate the next year to like finding myself and unraveling. And I've unraveled plenty of times. So I'm going to go grab my old notebooks out and I'm going to start reading the last time that I unraveled and the last time that I was like, I can't do this anymore. This mask is falling off. What do I do? And my past selves really helped me realize like this has been coming for a long time. There's no avoiding this, and I melted for years. So what did the unraveling process feel like for you when you were like, okay, obviously I'm not my job. Yes, I'm being pushed in this artistic direction, but did you have like clair senses come through the roof randomly? Did you have more spooky experiences that you couldn't
Yeah,
label?
that's such a good question because now I'm thinking about it going, yeah, the going from corporate spreadsheets, you know, ROI, all the things, like the numbers, the all the things that were no fun to begin with. Very left brain type stuff into my right brain, my more intuitive. The cool thing about the art photography is that, first of all, I couldn't find a mentor to teach me anything. Like no one would touch me. It was the weirdest thing. Such a blessing. So then instead of figuring out how my camera worked to get better, I focused on editing. And so I was able to turn all my art, my photography into art. So I have like 1,000 pieces of art from all of these sitters, 30, 40 cities across the country that I went and shot the flavor of, you know, Memphis, the flavor of whatever, New York. And so shifting out of that left brain space into that right brain, it became this is all kind of hitting me right now. It became this sort of like merging of, okay, unplug, let's step over here and then we'll find a happy medium, but let's go over here for now. And yeah, so I had tons of gifts showing up. And every time we went on a photo shoot, some crazy, ridiculous, magical thing happened. And I'm like, huh. And so even recently, I've been like, it's amazing to me how when you do something that sort of makes you're like afraid or it's like lightly intimidating, but you feel called to do and you listen and you do and you trust and you have faith and you show the hell up. Shortly after that, some crazy magical thing happens, like ridiculous. Like I have stories out the wazoo. I created this group called Lift a Sister Up Club, and it's this private group on Facebook, Lift a Sister Up Club. And I'm sharing my mystical stories. Like these are crazy stories that are real, crazy stories. And, like a month ago, we were hanging backstage with Bare Naked Ladies, Guster, and Fastball. We had the furthest seats in the whole Red Rock amphitheater. And after being there 20 minutes, we ended up backstage. So like literally these magical things happen every day. And there's a connection there. So me going from a corporate job and being like, okay, I got to trust. I'm scared to death, but I got to trust. And then moving into this art photography business, I'm going to trust. I'm going to trust. Okay, we're buying plane tickets. We're going to this town. I don't know what I'm doing. I've never, then the next big thing happens and the next big thing. And every time I move through these, I have more gifts show up. So, I mean, I don't do one thing. When I sit with a client, I'm like, I'm here for the ride. I don't know what's going to happen. And I literally see things, hear things, smell things, know things, forecast things. Like I move in and out of all the clairs. I don't think there's a single clair that I don't play with. And I'm literally like the whole leap of faith and being afraid and doing it anyway. And it's not about me. And I can't give a shit what that person thinks. Like I start with a new client and I go, hey, rule number one, I don't care if you like me. I cannot care if you like me. That's my work, is not caring if you like me and showing up for you without me in the way. And I find it fascinating that my entire upbringing was about what the neighbors think and what the church thinks and what other people think and what my parents think and what my teacher thinks. To the whole point was not giving a shit what anybody thinks and showing up in love and present and with integrity and being truthful and honest and saying the hard things. So when I'm on a session with a client, I'm like, hey, I am not going to have fun telling you this, but it's not about me. I'm like, wow,
That's
that's so funny. So yeah, lots of gifts. I had a new one show up in this book before last as a ghostwriter. I was talking to a friend. She was wanting to contribute a chapter, and I was like, I can do this. Here, let's talk. So we booked out an hour, and I typed as she talked. Mind blowing. And I said, okay, let me read you what I got. She's like, how did you do that? That's exactly what I was trying to say. And even in this last book, the organizers were like, this is one of the most well-written books we've ever. And I'm like, yeah, I helped like 5 different people with their chapters. And I'm like, yeah, that was all like not me at all,
yeah,
but a
it
gift
definitely
that flows.
comes through. Like a
Yeah,
I always try to give people
like
the analogy
channeling.
of, yeah, channeling, but like you're
Yeah,
just a copper pipe and there's water flowing through you. And depending on like what's stuck in your pipe, like it might get stuck, it might come down. But when you have those times where it's just clear and pure and you read it back, you're like, yeah, that's clearly channeling. Cause I don't write like that. That's me, but
yeah.
that's not me. I'm definitely being used as a positive vessel right now. And I love examples of that because there's so many all over the world, but I just don't think it's talked about enough. I think
Well,
people are just
people poo poo
blaming it
it.
on themselves.
People poo-poo it. Like I live in a town. I'm right now primarily in Mexico, in the highlands, the desert highlands, the dead center of Mexico. It's called the heart of Mexico, San Miguel de Allende, and this whole town is built on a bed of rose quartz. So I pull people here to do retreats. I'm studying as a medicine woman with psilocybin for PTSD and all these things, and I do these beautiful ceremonies with people as a healer, but this town attracts artists because it's built on this bed of rose quartz. It attracts this very intuitive, woo woo, otherworldly type energy. And it's primarily women that live in this town and they're older, a lot of retired, older, we call them gringos, American, Canadian white women. It's interesting. But a lot of them don't know they even have gifts and they start doing art in their 60s and 70s. They didn't even know they were an artist. I went to an art show last night and I saw the most magnificent. Um, they were like these doll statues with these. You can go on my page and look. It's like, and this woman was like, "Yeah, I went to this class and they were doing paper mache, and I started playing with it. And I'm like, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Like, can you make me one that's small? Can you, like, how can I connect you with other people? Like, this is so beautiful." And like each of these dolls, they like stand and they're real tall and thin. And one was the shaman, one was like the dreamer, one they all have these themes embodied with this energy and these bright colors and fabrics and pieces of jewelry and hats and hair. And she didn't start until she's like late in life. And I'm like, this is the most beautiful. How have you been sitting on this, sleeping on this? And come to find out her husband passed away a few years ago and never took her work seriously. So she never took her work seriously. And I'm like, oh girl, it's on. So we're all sitting on gifts. Like everyone has gifts. And people are like, walking like robots with this programming of who their parents told them they need to be to fit in and be safe. And my whole philosophy, as well as yours, I'm convinced, is to be in such a radical state of self love, like full on revolution, like inside, internally, like, I'm going to say no. I'm going to say yes to what lights me up. I'm not going to worry about that opinion or that opinion. I'm going to, you know, turn left when everybody else turns right. I'm going to zig when everybody else zags because that feels like what I'm called to do. And I don't need to explain shit. And so that's the whole point, is to get to that space where we're so solid in loving ourselves that we're unfuckwithable and that the world around us can be madness and we're solid because the world needs these individuals, these souls to be so solid that they feel safe because we've created a space for ourselves to be safe. It's like you being in your authentic space. You create the safe space for other people to show up that are just as weird and awesome and magical as we are. And everyone has this. It's just a different flavor. Like you open a cabinet, there's all these seasonings. Well, maybe I'm jalapenos. Maybe you're dill. Maybe you're like, we all fit in the world, but oregano isn't rosemary, and that's okay. not everybody needs to be Rosemary. Like it's really a beautiful thing. So
Yeah, we got to
it's
quit the
important.
aspect of things. I think instead of comparing, we can be inspired. Usually if like I want to do something and someone immediately is put in front of me that's doing what I want to do, like my old self would probably be like, "Oh, well they're already doing it and they're doing it so much better," and I'll make all these excuses for like why I'm not going to do it. And then now I'm like, "Oh, you're being put in front of me to show me that I can do it and you're giving me like a livable example." Like that's
Mm-hmm.
amazing. And then switching from, especially in a feminine role, switching from doing things for love to actually embodying and being love while you're
Mm-hmm.
doing it. I still struggle with that on occasions and a lot of like the mundane things that I have, like the repetitious things in my life where I'm like, I've done this so many times. I'm tired of trying to embody love in this exercise. But and then you bring up a very valid point of the woman in her 60s with the husband that passed away, that I meet so many amazing women that I will hype up like your best cheerleader ever. And I don't want to say they have like duds for husbands because I think that's rude, but the husband just doesn't fricking get it, and he doesn't understand that you don't have to get what your wife is doing, but you do have to support her just as I think she should support you if you're in a creative or you're loving something in any capacity. But there are so many women that sell themselves short because the man in their life doesn't get what she's doing. And since that person who lives with you and is the closest to like your energy and your psyche all the time, they're the ones that give you the most self-doubt. And I hear it so often. So I love that you brought it up. RIP to that woman's husband, but her being able to find that creativity even later in life, I think is super inspirational and for everybody. Because again, with the boxes that all of us get put in, we're like, oh, I'm too old to try this, or I'm at the end of my rope. And it's just like, no, you're not. You have to keep going. You can keep trying. Just get all of that like negativity out of your life, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah. I teach a course. It's called Big Mess to Big Magic, and it's I warn people. I used to not warn people. Now I'm like, I gotta warn people. Um, you will outgrow your inner circle, and you will um, become the most authentic version of yourself at the tail end, and that is not always comfortable for the people in your life now. And when I started this course, like it was a download. I literally my friend sent me a questionnaire that her coach had sent her about like, if you could solve one problem, and it was like broken down like a problem you see in the world, and then it works itself backwards, like that's your plan. And I literally filled it out in 20 minutes, set it down, looked at it and went, who the hell wrote that? This is genius. This is like, if I have 5 years left to live, this is whatever, like this is how you live your life. And this is what you learn and what you unlearn and how you see the world differently through a new lens. And I was like, this could change the world. And so I teach this course. And when I now meet with people, I tell them, you know, the people around you aren't going to be on the same train. And that's okay. So when I had this download, I grabbed all my girlfriends. I grabbed all my girlfriends, Cheyenne, and I said, okay, look, something is happening to me and it's awesome. And I can't explain it, but I know that my frequency is rising and I'm changing and I'm discovering these new gifts and they're otherworldly, and I'm going there because when you're holding like God's hand or you're up in the heavens, you don't want to be down here. This is hard and that's addictive. And so you're learning to balance the two. But I was in that space where I was like, I want to be up there. I want to be down here. And so I grabbed all my girlfriends and I said, you have to take this course or I'm going to outgrow you. You're not going to hear from me. I will slowly start disappearing from your life. And I can't help it because I can't hear about your ex-husband anymore. I can't listen to this. I can't listen to that. That's not in my space anymore. And I love you so much. Please let me walk you through this. And I made it also like you're helping me grow and you'd be doing me a favor too. And I took them all through my course and we're all like still like this. And if we didn't, I would be grieving the loss of these relationships. So when I meet with new clients, I'm like, look, this is really hard, but I already know once you come out of this work, you're like, I know they're going to be divorced. I know that they're going to outgrow they're with someone that they're outgrowing, and that's the conflict in their life. And so I always tell them, like, you have these recordings, you should really, have your spouse or your partner take my course so that you're both rising in that same frequency and you're on the same page, just like marriage counseling. Or, they at least need to eavesdrop on the recordings, because there's a good chance, be prepared for that. You may not be a fit for each other when we're done.
How truthful though, because I find that so often. I've sat in plenty of groups. I had a woman, she was just like, I mean, she just discovered she had a root chakra, and like a lot of feminine issues that she had had her whole life have been tied to a lot of past life and energetic stuff. And like 6 sessions later, she's like, she comes in and she just goes, "I'm thinking about leaving my husband." And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, we've all been there. Let's talk this out loud. Let's not make any rash decisions right now. Sometimes you gotta help them. Sometimes you gotta let them go. And it's definitely a case by case basis, is what I would like to say. But I think that is something that every woman that I've talked to really, really goes through and really tries to question, because whether you're like this or like you're this most of your marriage and you believe a lot of the, rumors of marriage, but then one day it's like this. And I
It's
mean,
too big
like,
of a gap.
there's so much of a gap. It's just like, I have love for you and I love you enough to let you go and find someone on your same wavelength. And
Mhm.
I'm not saying I'm going to go look for somebody. I'm saying I don't chase, I attract anyways. So I finally know who I am. I know how to move through this. And I love you enough to like release you back out and release myself too. Cause I think so many people still get, and again, that mindset of, oh, well, we have to be, we took these vows, miserable until death do us part or
You
something
can
like.
you can develop a food allergy when you're 60,
Yeah,
right? So why can't you develop a person allergy? Like what? Why? I mean, why throw good money after bad? Like why? When I divorced my first husband, he was like, "I don't believe in divorce," and blah blah blah. And I'm like, "Well, there's people that don't believe in gravity, but if you jump off a building, gravity is real.
very
Like
true.
like you would rather cling to a toxic relationship than admit you're wrong because your ego is that big. Like you would rather, like, I no longer believe in marriage. Like you throw it all, the baby out with the bathwater instead of nurturing the baby. Like, I mean, so you, I think one of the things I love about David, who I'm with, we've been together it'll be 17 years in September, and our first 7 years were long distance, which is a whole other story. We met skydiving, whole other story. But our whole thing has been, let's try to keep up with each other. Like, like, oh, let's keep up. Oh, I see you're growing. Oh, let me keep up. Let me read up on that. And I think that that's the kind of friendships that I've really, and you have circles of a tree, and that inner circle is your core group, and then you have like people you love, but they're kind of further out. That core circle for me has always been about people that are like not resistant to growth and are really, what you see is what you get. And gosh, I'm getting triggered by this conversation. I need to go work on that. Like if you have people in your circle and they're like calling themselves out, that's a safe place, right? Like because they're being real about what's happening in their internal system at that moment, and they're very present. And when you're in a relationship where you're demanding of someone else that they need to be a certain way for you to be okay, which is such a childish, emotionally immature demand. Like that is insane. Like I was driving one day with my stepdaughter down the road, and she was she had a lot of stunt growth growing up, and we didn't have a lot of time with her until she was late teens. And I said to her randomly, what do you think happiness, like what do you think, what did I say? What do you think love is? Some kind of question like that. And she said, "Oh, when you're with someone and you make them breakfast in the morning and you make them happy and you're there to make them happy." And I almost drove off the road. And I said, "It is not my job to make your dad happy, because that's crazy shit. It is not my job to anything It is my job to be so madly in love with myself and so solid in who the fuck I am that the people around me can be okay in who they are. And I can love them where they are because I'm not needing to manipulate or mold them to be a certain way so that I'm happy because I'm me and I'm happy with me. And so it's just a really interesting dynamics in relationship. It's so twisted the way that we're raised and taught about commitment. Like, what kind of bullshit patriarchy entrapment is that? Like, you sucked me in by love bombing me and now you're abusive, but I committed to it. You can quit a job any day of the week.
Whole other episode just talking about like feminine rising and like the rumors and just the dogma almost in a relationship that you get to. I've met people that are stuck because of religion, be stuck codependency, trauma. You could get into soul contracts. Like you're ringing so many bells in my head, and I'm like, if I open this portal up, we're gonna be here forever. But yes, you're absolutely right. I don't think that just because you sign up for it, yes, we've all been there on our wedding days. We wanted to do those vows the best we could. But the thing that I found out with women is they're so concerned about not breaking their vows that they forgot that he had already broken those vows multiple times. And it only takes one person to break it. You both don't have to break it to like not have a guilty conscience to get away. So there's a lot of people living in that mindset of, oh, I said I was going to take care of them the rest of my life. They said they were going to do this, but that people grow, people evolve, people move away from each other. And especially in this time where, just based on my research, there's so many people growing at such a rapid rate and they've spent a significant amount of their life being the person that they maybe for lessons we're supposed to be, but they're coming into who they are now. And if that's not a match for who you with, like you're gonna have to find a nice and kind way to figure out how to say, like, it is me. It is not you. You have a different path than me. Somehow we'll still be a part of our lives. Maybe we'll, maybe we won't. But yes, that could be a whole other episode that we do. Cause seriously, like all the bells in my feminine rage are going off in my head of like, please women, listen to this and
Yeah.
think this way. It doesn't
And
have to.
and basic decency isn't a reason to stick around.
Yeah, the bare minimum, no thanks.
Like like David and I are trying to one up each other on good things. Who can get to the dishes first? Who can do this first? Who can do the how can I what do you want for I'm gonna surprise like, oh, you're almost out of that. Let me order it for you and not tell you and go, oh, I took care of that for you. Like basic decency is like, and you can steal this and we can wrap this whole conversation up with this. If we live our lives as if we have 5 years left and the ghosts of regret are going to be what surround your deathbed, how many ghosts of regret you want in the room? Like,
Mm.
like at what point do you, how much time do you think you got? What is wrong with people? Like, do the thing, get rid of the thing, get rid of the person, open your heart to this, try this thing, pick up a paintbrush, buy a plane ticket, use the good freaking china. Like, stop caring about what the neighbors think and maybe give them something to talk about. Like, leave your Christmas decorations up an extra couple months long just to get over your damn self because you're butthurt about what they think. Well, then you should probably leave them up so you can see and sit in that uncomfortableness and look at your ridiculousness. Life is too short.
I feel like I'm having, like, I actually am one of your clients in parts of these conversations. I do feel like a lot of your, because I know you said your one-on-ones are definitely your favorite thing to do with people. If you could just be in your house and do intuitive coaching one-on-one, which I don't have like a business like that. I just have people that still call me and get my thoughts for free. So maybe I'll add
Yeah,
that to.
let's talk. I'll help you. We'll start charging. But I do
Yeah,
everything via Zoom. I do everything via Zoom. I have clients around the world because I get to pick and choose how I do my business. And if you're oh yeah, we're gonna talk later. I got a whole business plan for you. We'll
yes.
talk.
But what I'm saying is like, so you're like, oh, I haven't thought about that in years. That's come up and that's come up. And like, I can even feel like the little tingles like up my spine. I am that person that people will call. And I know that you're the same way. And I think you got to a point where you're like, I really do need to help people with this stuff because this is collectively happening. So you have created a course that's getting ready to come out that speaks to my soul. And I would absolutely love it if you would share however much you can with the guests so we can. I want to be a part of this, but I want to hear more about it. And I want my viewers and my listeners to hear about it too.
Yeah, I'll pull you through with my beta. Okay, so every single person I work with, the root of all their suffering is their real inability or giving themselves permission to radically love themselves, like love themselves madly. And when I was looking for love, I went on 52 and a half first dates, and we'll talk about that later, and no one got a second date. And when people found out I was legally divorced, everyone was setting me up with somebody. They're like, Joe's single, which I felt loved, and that was great, but none of it worked out. And so I committed a whole year to just falling madly in love with myself. And that was quite some time ago. That was before David. And I met him almost right after that commitment. Crazy, right? And what I found is that when the world is coming at you and things are happening because life happens, it's trying to like push you over. How grounded you are and how solid you are in your space, and the knowing of who you are, unbecoming who you're not, being who you are in your most raw, gritty, authentic self is all about radical self-love. And I love the word radical because it's not negotiable, and it's big, and it's powerful, and it's intimidating, and it's off-putting to the people that want to manipulate you because they don't know what to do with that, and that's fine. But you can't be toppled over if you're solid in loving yourself madly, because every decision is based on, does that bring me joy? No, I'm out. I don't need an explanation. The invitation, responding to an email, doing this podcast. Like, I have people reach out to me and I'm like, nah, I don't feel that. And I move on. And they don't need like some in-depth explanation. It's just not a good fit for me. That's it. That's all you get. Relationships or new people that come into your life. Do they fill me with joy? Do they get me? Do I feel safe in their space? Am I lit up? Do I feel like I can learn something in that room? Am I going to be the smartest person in that room? Most clever person in that room? Because that's not a room I need to be in. Because I already think I'm pretty awesome. I don't need to be the biggest fish in that pond. Let me go get in a bigger pond because I need to learn. So the course is called Unfuckable, Radical Self-Love Revolution. And it's like a way to deprogram your brain. I'm ADD, so I need short bursts, like Cliff Note versions of everything. And I have 50 friends that have written books, and I'm like, I'm never going to get through these books. Like, give me the Cliff Notes, because I want to support you, right? So this course is created from that perspective of someone who's very ADD, someone who wants short hits. They come with short videos. It's a workbook. You fill it out. You answer some questions. You're plowing through it. You're rewiring your brain as you go through it to see the world through a new lens of what serves my highest good. Does this interaction serve my highest good? Does this food on my plate serve my highest good? Is this my most real, raw, gritty, authentic self? Am I doing this because I care what other people think, or because I feel like the hand of God or the universe is like on my back pushing me? I feel called to do it, and I'm uncomfortable, but I'm trusting that my soul's a badass soul and I got this, and I'm going to do the thing. And it's not about what the world is thinking. And so it's real simple. It's like one little module a week over like 4 to 6 weeks. You can squish them together if you want. It's very loose. It's very rhythmic. And it's designed for the person that really is looking at the world going, if I had 5 years left to live, how am I going to play the game different? Because there's a game. It's all a game, right? Like, even if you don't believe you have confidence or the courage to do the thing, even if you don't believe that your fears are brave, if you can figure out the game, and the game is doing things from a space of radical self-love, even if it scares you and it raises your frequency, and then the things around you that are matching that frequency are looking for you. How can I serve you? Cheyenne, how can I help you with this whole new business adventure that you're going to go on right now that you don't even know you're going to go on? Like, how did I show up in your space? Because you freaking showed up afraid, creating a podcast and not knowing what it's going to look like. But your heart was open and you're like, I'm along for the ride. And then you get people that want to shine on you and support you and love you and help you, create more abundance in your life and all the things. So this course is like a real clever hack to rewire your brain. It's super saucy. It's way over the top. I curse. I'm really gritty, but it's that pendulum that swings over here, right? Like, we all want to be in this balanced space in the middle where We're solid and we're unfuckable, and we're, unfuckable, but lovable and kind and radically able to show up in other people's lives and love them madly too. But we don't get that until we do it for ourselves first. So that's that middle space, right? We're solid. We have to go way over here to convince our brain and the cells in our body to be really saucy about owning our sacred space. And then we soften up as we go through this work and kind of come back to the middle, to that space of knowing. I know who I am. I know why I'm here. I know I'm enough. I know I'm worthy. I know I deserve that, not that, period. And you're simply navigating through life going, okay, everything I do comes from a place of fear or love. Real simple. Everything around me coming at me is coming at me from fear or love, period. It's not complicated shit. If they're coming at me jealous, that's their fear. If they're coming at me angry, that's their fear. If they're coming at me no strings attached, that's love. And it's a real simple way to just get from here to here, because life is short. So yeah, I'm super pumped. I didn't realize how pumped I was till just now. I'm super pumped. And they can do this from anywhere because it's all recorded, so they can do it at their leisure. Because sometimes I feel like it might be a little intimidating, or it might be too expensive to work with me one-on-one, and I'm like, I want to help everyone, so I'll create something that's evergreen. So that's what that program's about.
It's okay if people need time to like integrate it. I think that's what's so great about those course models is you can go at your own pace. And yeah, that has everything I think anybody needs to like get some personal awareness, get some boundaries, bring
Solve
yourself
world problems.
body, doing things out of love and not necessarily doing it for love. I am
Yeah.
so excited to check this out. Man, I gotta wrap this up and I don't want to. Let's be honest. I just want to talk to you all day.
We could do it again later. We can play again later.
We're definitely gonna have to do it, and I'm serious about that feminine episode. I think it would be great to just bring our notes and be like, we are deprogramming the feminine population today. If you need help with any of these, our information's down below. So I want to ask you, even though you've already given the 5 years thing, because I think that's incredible, that even like flipped me over the head. Like, what would I do if I only had 5 years left? But what advice would you give anybody for starting out who is doubting their intuitive abilities, doubting leaving that job that they're scared to leave, that relationship? Like, what is your advice to give to them?
Yeah. So everything I see is in patterns. It's all pattern recognition. I should have been an FBI profiler. Everything I see is in patterns. So people can do the same thing. Look at every pain in your life, every single pain, every single one, and look at how you didn't listen to your intuition and it got you there. There are things as a kid we couldn't control. We had no power. We had no voice, right? But those things we couldn't control were lessons. And even those things are linked to present day, being an adult, grown up, grown ass adult, struggling. Those links or patterns linked to that stuff. And they're all kind of, presented in front of us. Oh, you're not listening. You're not listening. You're not listening. Smackdown. Everything. The red flags in relationships, accepting a job because it pays great, but it doesn't light you up inside. You're screwed. It's not going to end well. You're screwed. You're not listening to your higher calling. You're not listening to why you're here on the planet. Just because you're good at sales doesn't mean you should be in sales.
Great
Is it
advice.
fun? Does it bring you joy? Good, go there. If it doesn't, you're screwed. So every pain in our life is related to not listening to our intuition. Everything. Period.
Do you hear that? You heard it here first. Reconnect with your body. And I believe everybody is intuitive. There are obviously people more tapped in, more in the belief, but yeah, those signals are there for a reason. And if you need any more help, please feel free to reach out to Joe and lift a sister up or get an intuitive reading, a Reiki attunement, have a soul conversation, check out this beautiful course that she's creating. And of course, go check out that website. Come listen to this podcast again if you need a little more inspiration on what to do, because I'm inspired. I'm so glad that I met you today. And I just appreciate you sharing, being as real as freaking possible, showing all of the vulnerable parts, especially about transitioning from the corporate world over to, you know, we're still in that age where people doing this work, they don't get as much recognition as I think they need, which is why I think I enjoy doing this show and I enjoy meeting people like you, because I would rather go to you before a doctor with what I've experienced in life. So I hope everybody gets something out of this episode. I hope they check out your episode, and I will definitely stay tuned for that course. And I really appreciate you coming on today to share with us.
Thank you.
Okay, my friends, we will see you on the next episode. I love you all so much.